It's a blessing to have you with us here on the Friday Word of Encouragement. And today I'd like to go to 2 Thessalonians. These two epistles, 1st and 2nd Thessalonians, are written to this church that had a mighty move of God when the Apostle Paul came into Europe and began to witness there. The church grew, and it wasn't long before Paul had to leave. But it was amazing how strong that church had already gotten. But he knew that error would come in, and he addresses some of that in these two epistles, and he endeavors to strengthen the church. And so we get a lot of very good help from these two epistles that were written on the front end of the ministry of the Apostle Paul. But I want to take one verse, you could probably quote it, right out of his teaching about what to do with folks that are not properly understanding truth and how they were causing divisions, and folks that would not work because they had the wrong perspective on the coming of the Lord. There was all kinds of things that they were having to handle there in the church. But then right in the middle of all that, he says in verse 13, "But ye brethren, be not weary in well-doing." We find that also, that same kind of idea in Galatians chapter 6, that we must not be weary in well-doing. God will strengthen us if we will do what is right. Some of the big mistakes that people make are when they get weary and then yield to that emotional weakness and that physical weakness. Parents get weary in discipline. They get weary in training their children. They just sort of let things go. They just manage rather than be proactive in their training. And teachers that have Sunday school classes or Bible studies can get weary with folks and sort of give up on folks that really are pretty close to going forward for the Lord, but somebody gets weary and a little disappointed with all the effort that it takes to help minister to those types of people. And then when you're in leadership and you see people going the wrong direction and endeavoring to work with them, you can just sort of let things go. In fact, I think a lot of times churches begin to slide the wrong direction in what they teach and preach and what they apply and endeavor to how they organize their ministry, because it's wearisome to take a stand against the culture. It's wearisome to go counterculture in what you preach and endeavor to apply it in the right kind of way and guide and lead people who are struggling with making those kinds of decisions. And it's easy sometimes just, oh, well, let it go. But right in the middle of this context, and that's exactly what it's dealing with here, don't be weary in well-doing. And so I want to encourage you today that God's immutable. He has all strength. He is able to give great grace, abounding grace. And when we walk by faith and are determined to be faith-filled, faithful, we will find that the immutable God will give us strength that we do not have. God wants us to continue on day after day doing exactly what he wants us to do. Don't yield to your physical weakness. Don't yield to your emotions. If you do that, you will make wrong decisions. You'll let things go. You will not accomplish what God wants you to accomplish. And one of the greatest encouragements, frankly, is after you've stayed steady, to see God answer prayer there, to see a miracle here, to see God accomplish what he wanted to accomplish. What we need in our day are people that are willing to be faithful. Stay at it. Stay at it. Do what God has called you to do. And that will be your greatest encouragement, to see God deliver after you have held on to do what God's called you to do, and see him honor your faith. And it will be the greatest joy as you see the fulfillment of his cause through your life.